The entertainment aspect of a lot of media is very much just, keeping the population docile.
We live in this very artificial, like fantasy world, right? Like most of the things are not that connected to reality anymore. I mean, you don't need to believe your thing to survive, right? It's not like
Yeah.
if you believe the wrong thing, you're not going to get enough harvest for the season, right? This
Where's
is
the
not happening
ideological
anymore.
reality check? It's everywhere. It's every part of your life, and it's a globalist system. It's not a local system. It's not real. It's fake.
There might be some deep seated identity elements that you have to be willing to kill off in
Hmm.
order to get to positive birth rate in European ideology.
The illusion that these companies would, the reason that they create media would be just as some Puritan way of sharing
Yeah,
information.
yeah,
Like in the past, no one ever believed that. And why should we believe it now? Because everyone knows that power will always find a way to corrupt itself, and you need to be extremely careful in order to not let it corrupt itself. You're a
yeah,
part of a cult in humanity that I think in the past, it's something that's only existed in the here and now,
yeah.
where it's a form of life that doesn't want to continue living, that says
No,
life is not worth it.
Welcome back to another episode of Above the Horizon, episode 6 now. So we're getting there with the episode count. And
Mm-hmm.
this episode will be on media. And again, as always, I'm Halver and I'm here with Jasper. And Jasper, what will we talk about today? Can you expand a bit on media?
Yeah, so today in the sixth episode, we'll be talking about media. And I think what for me I really want to highlight in this episode is the intrusiveness and the scope of media in our modern lives. Because it truly is everywhere and it influences all our actions, pretty much everything we do. And I think it has influence on the way we interact with the people around us, the way we interact on the big stage. It has influence on politics, and pretty much all areas of life. So I think this, for me, is really the aspect that I want to highlight. And then we want to see how we can get a healthy relationship with the media. Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
How about you?
And yeah, I think, well, obviously, I agree with the intent here. And I also think I really want to um, try to explain the extensiveness of media, right? And what it actually means. And also touch on some of the maybe darker or just more impactful, deeper aspects of media and how it influences society. Because I think with the awareness of them, instead of allowing it to master you, you learn to master it, right? Which makes you more powerful as an individual. And that is something that I think is very important. And maybe it's a battlefield that we're losing a bit on, right, as a society right now. Maybe we were stronger as individuals before, and now media is one of those big powers that is really taking away from the power that we possess and kind of beating us. What do you think?
Uh-huh. Yeah, in some way it has become like a global power, right? It's a
Yeah,
power that fights from above, and instead of the communities coming up with their own ideas
yeah,
about what society looks like, what healthy relations look like, it's all comes from these media actors, which are themselves owned by big corporations. And I think classifying it as a battlefield is a good way to look at it, because I think that's truly what it is, right? It's a battle for attention, for what is true, for
yeah.
uh,
It's a battle for the mind, right, and the mental space of a society, of a culture, of a
mhm,
people, right? What ideas are in there? What conversations are you having? What opinions do you have? And what what is discussed on local scale, within companies, within governments, within communities, whatever. Um, it's
mhm,
really this kind of a battlefield that all these media companies, and I like the point on like global companies, right? Big huge global
Yes.
companies that have nothing to do with maybe your little town in some rural area. It, these are gigantic beasts trying to win the world, right? And they have
And
nothing to do with your little town, and yet they probably dominate the discussion, the ideas that are in the minds of the local people.
hmm yeah, and then you're really talking about the shaping of ideology, right? Like what is the
Yeah,
ideology that the people believes in and how is this shaped? And it comes, you have the psychological aspects of how an individual interacts with the media itself. How is this balance shaping, right? For example, with TikTok, then if I'm always interacting with TikTok, this will have a certain effect on my own brain because of the dopamine release, this kind of stuff. And
yeah,
I think this then transfers into the bigger social aspect,
yeah,
right? Where what are the social relations? How do they form each other? There's also a big impact here on media. And then there are the bigger ideological aspects. And
yeah.
everything is interlinked and um, very much influenced by media. I don't know if you want
Yeah,
to highlight a specific thing here or because
yeah.
it's so
I,
big, the topic.
yeah, it's huge. It's huge. I
It's
really like this point though on um, understanding that there's a scale, right, from what goes on in your individual mind to what is in the mental space of the group around you on a local scale, on a national scale, and cultural scale, and a global scale, right? And these are all very interlinked, right? And if you think about this, uh, media targets everything, right? Let's say, if you're a power with impact in media, you might want everyone in the world to believe your thing, right? But I like this idea that, well, I can do that in two ways. I can do it from top down by
mm-hmm.
presenting this as the solution to everything, or I can do it bottom up by giving you, who are sitting on your phone or reading something, these ideas, and then you start discussing them with your people, and then it grows from there, right? Um, I think that is all to say that it's all encompassing. It's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
around you all the time. The
Uh-huh.
battlefield is everywhere.
And I think it's good not to underestimate the size of the impact this has
Yeah,
on your own ideology and your own thoughts, right?
yeah,
They
yeah, for
they are
sure.
influenced for such a big part by the media landscape. And
Yeah,
I see this around me everywhere, right? Like
yeah.
we see in Europe, in the Netherlands, we are talking about topics that are shouldn't even be a thing here in my opinion.
No.
Like there are some
Oh,
Black Lives Matter topics that we are discussing here that people are protesting and it has nothing to do with our country.
no.
It's an American affair and let the Americans figure it out, but it's not our problem. We have other things to talk about.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's crazy. I always find this very frustrating when I notice that the local conversation is about all these big, distant
hmm
topics that shouldn't matter to you as an individual. And yet here you are spending hours thinking about it, talking about it, as if it's so important. When in
and then why,
reality,
right?
yeah, like why? It doesn't impact your life. It's not, it's so far away from you.
So why
Um,
are we then talking about these topics? Like,
yeah,
what is the
well,
reason
it's
for it?
exactly, exactly. It's power, right? It's a power game. I mean, if you are a great power, you want people to be in your boat, thinking about the things you want them to think about, or having the opinions that support your cause, right? You want that to be important if you are a big global player.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to
It's
get to
about
it, but mostly with technology, right? It's now possible. It's like the things that are happening in media now have always happened because it's human nature. Like there's nothing unique about the approach, right, or the drive or the motivation. I think the main difference is we see it scaled up to such a point that it's gotten kind of crazy, where you could be a local organization across the globe, and you could have a massive media empire that 1 billion people consumes, and that has ripple effects that we've never really seen before, where now I can change the local culture on the other side of the globe from the comfort of my home through media tactics, right? Through
yeah.
social media or internet, which is kind of insane because we have no physical relationship, right? in the real world.
I think with regard to this, 100 years ago, this would have been unimaginable, not just from the perspective of technology, because you had newspapers, you had radio,
Yep.
lots of other things that could be used to broadcast this information. But there were many cultural differences, right? The first is the language. You cannot just broadcast the same language all over the world. But now everyone speaks English. So you can even just do English media across the world. You don't even have to translate it into local languages anymore, kind of.
No.
And it has to do with many more cultural differences that over time have become so close between all the countries because they're integrating into a global structure where
Yeah.
it's possible to broadcast your information across the world and everyone understands and follows along. And this is
Yeah.
truly something new of this age.
Yeah, I agree. Like this really is something new, and it's one of those things that I think it's almost impossible to overestimate the impact that the modern communication technology has on people, on individuals, on local groups, on cultures, on everything, right? Because, like you say, they probably couldn't even imagine it even just 100 years ago, or especially like 150 years ago, because I guess things were so tied to the physical world around you, right? This gigantic mental space of ideas and internet, like things that just exist in your head, right, that are far away. They weren't really that present.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this also has to do with what is often said nowadays is that it's a war for your attention, right?
Yeah,
It's not a war for your physical labor, but they want your attention, they want the your thoughts, and that's
and
where
why
the
is
real
that?
war is going on.
Yeah, and why is that valuable then?
I mean, it's in a sense, it's the easiest way to control a person, right? Like controlling a person through force, it's a hard thing. Like a police state,
Yeah,
it's not easy. People don't want to follow along in this way. But if you can guide people into thinking that they believe your
yeah,
ideology,
yeah,
that's the easiest way to control a population. So I think that might be fundamentally where it comes from. I don't know.
yeah. I think that is a very good argument for why that's the case. Um, yeah, like you said, the difference between physical control and mental control, right?
Uh-huh.
There's a oh, I wish I had the quote right in my head, but there's a quote along the lines of convince a person uh, that it's their idea and they will do your work for free, something like that. Where if you convince a
Yeah.
person that what they believe is it came from them and it's what
Uh-huh.
they want, uh, then you don't even have to do anything. They will do your bidding for the world to see, and they will probably be the strongest supporters as well, right? They will push your ideas stronger than anyone else. And you can use this for good, but you can also use it for bad, right?
And I think with regards to globalism, this is definitely what we are seeing on the world stage.
Yeah,
There are people who the message of globalism, of equality, inclusion, diversity has been pushed so hard that there are such big proportions of the population fighting for this ideology, not realizing that what they're really fighting for is the power of wealthy elites, right?
yeah.
They believe they are doing the right thing. And yeah. And I
It's
think
a
this all
well,
ties back to the media landscape, right? This all ties back
yeah.
to how media is now able to do this kind of an act on such a big scale throughout the world.
Yeah, media is like it's like the ultimate tool for shaping the mind. And with the scale that it's at with regards to communication, it is the ultimate tool. It is like the government does not have to, place local leaders that are good at speaking in all the cities and towns and walk around and talk to the people, show their face. They don't have to do that. All they have to do is like push some mass messaging across all channels, and
Pay
they
an
can,
influencer,
yeah, pay
you
an
know, and like very
influencer.
little. Like an influencer doesn't even need a lot of money. You just
No,
pay a few thousand euros,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they will market your idea, market your brand to their 100,000 followers. It's
yeah.
so cheap.
And then you can, I mean, they have money, so you can hire like teams that specialize in messaging, right? Or
Yeah.
in finding focus groups that uh, are maybe flippable, right, to your side, just with the right tweaks and with the right
Hmm.
targeting. And then all these tech companies make money off of targeting anyway. So, like, it's a really interesting combination how the tech companies like Meta and Google, they make money off of ads, which uh, is better if they are able to provide more targeted advertising. And the goal of media companies is to provide more targeted influence on people,
Uh-huh.
because it's easier. Like, you will save money that way, right? Because you can find, like, only target the people who you can flip, and
Yeah.
not waste money on the people who are unflippable or who will never come to your cause.
I think it touches a bit on the first episode that we did, right? About the content feed
Yeah,
epidemic, where it's also a part of the media apparatus. It's also a part of the propaganda apparatus, you could say,
yeah,
where it's now possible to target individuals, and what you see on social media might, or Google even, might be completely different from what I see, right?
yeah,
Because you are being micro what is the name, like micro adjusted into one direction, and for me in another direction, right? Because that
yeah,
is the most profitable direction, or that's
yeah.
um,
But yeah, it's interesting. So we have all these things happening, right? We have these great ideologies and being pushed, and there is a big warfare right now.
yeah, the war on attention.
The war on
Oh,
attention, exactly.
yeah.
And so I think we can also touch a bit on, what is media to you as an individual, right? What we talk about media, okay, it's a big scale thing, right? It's a big concept, but what is media to an individual? I mean, why do we consume media in the first place, right?
Hmm.
Do you have any ideas for why we do?
I mean, we came up with a few ideas, right, for the
Yeah,
principal reasons why we think media is consumed,
yeah,
from the individual perspective. And maybe the first one to highlight would be the entertainment value, right? It's maybe I'm bored, um, or I just want to do something fun with friends, want to have something to talk about, you know. From this perspective, I think a lot of the Netflix shows, movies, etc., are consumed.
yeah,
Um, and I think it's a kind of a form of laziness where you don't make your own fun. You just take the fun. You kind of get it for free, right? It costs a very limited amount of money. And you don't realize all the hidden messages that might be hidden inside the entertainment that you consume. You think the entertainment is free, but in reality, you're paying the price with the ideology that you're copying from
yeah.
the thing that you're consuming. I don't know if you want to
Eh,
expand on
I
that, or
Well, something I just had in my head was that uh, if you tell a child to go entertain yourself, they have fun by playing games or by playing outside or doing something social, right? Like, that is entertainment when we use the language with a child. And I think back in the days as well, it was much more like, what is entertainment? It is what is fun, what is enjoyable, maybe like short term enjoyable, right? And it could be anything, but it was mostly physical activity in some sort, right? Or playing games or socializing.
yeah.
I feel like that's
And
what
also
really touches
creativity
on,
comes into play as a fundamental part here
yeah,
in the
yeah,
right. It's
yeah,
creating games
something
for
about,
yourself, creating, like being there, being bored, and coming up with something new.
yeah,
And it's not something that's pushed down. The creativity didn't happen somewhere else. The creativity
no,
is happening in the moment with you. And
yeah, yeah,
uh,
you are the creative, right? It's like things coming from you rather than being
yeah,
uh, given to you. But I like the thing about laziness, which you said about entertainment, which is yeah, why does it feel like laziness? Because it also feels like we just seek entertainment because we're interested. But I think
Mm-hmm.
there's this dynamic where we entertainment, when it comes from you, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's also entertainment. And then there is entertainment that is given to you, which is
Mm-hmm.
the blind consumption, right? The movies, the TV
Yeah.
shows, etc. Um, but either way, this is a major reason why you would
Yeah.
consume media, right? And I
I,
think
I
that's
think Yeah, I think
yeah,
one more aspect to highlight here is also, I think the entertainment aspect is also often the other side of the coin of escapism, of trying to escape the real world, right? Yeah, a depression or a shitty job or just generally not being happy in life, and not being able to come up with your own creative ideas, and then seeking out the entertainment.
uh,
Or
yeah. I'm
do
wondering,
not
like, do you
see it
think,
that way.
but why, like, why is entertainment what you would escape to? You could escape to other things, right? It doesn't
Like
like
what?
why entertainment? Well,
What
you could
what would be
escape
the
to
alternatives?
learning, reading.
But I think
Uh,
those all require effort, right?
yeah,
The entertainment, it kind of comes for free. It's I don't have to put any effort into putting on a Netflix show, right?
no,
There's a big list, and I just click one, and then I get my dopamine right there.
uh,
And I think that's the word you wanted to hear.
it's
Dopamine.
the same. It's the same as drinking, right? Because drinking has always been this kind of like tool for escapism, right? If you look at
Mm-hmm.
history, it's always like,
Yeah.
okay, you drink to
Yeah.
forget or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. But it's the same
Yeah.
thing where you just want to
I,
really, what you want to do is turn off effort, turn off your brain, right? Turn off the
yeah.
difficulty inside the mind,
Yeah.
and anything that will suck you in or limit your thinking, which is what
Yeah.
drinking kind of does, right? It makes things, everything very
Mm-hmm.
much like easy. It makes it easy to
Yeah.
live effortlessly. Um, at least for a while, I
Yeah, I
guess.
think I like the analogy. I think it's very similar, right? In the
Yeah,
past, a man would come home from his stressful job and then drink just to let out
yeah,
I don't want to think, I just want to relax right now. And I think
yeah,
Netflix shows are for many people in life, it fits the same purpose.
yeah. Now, what about what would you say about the difference between escapism and relaxation? How would you separate those?
I think so. Escapism could go in many ways, I think, because escapism, it's running away from a state of mind, I think in this case, a state of mind that you don't want to be in. Because the
Yeah,
natural state of mind is something you associate with stress, depression, anxiety, or other
yeah,
things. And then you seek something to run away into. And maybe in this case, what you try to run away into is a form of relaxation.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Or like relaxation maybe could also be uh, relaxation is just like a natural thing where you overuse your brain or your body, but you still enjoy the state you're in. It's just you need some rest, right? You need
yeah,
some
your brain just needs rest.
calm down, and then you go back to the state that you still enjoy, right? While escapism, yeah, it could be relaxation, but maybe it's a bit of a tricking yourself kind of situation where
Like I
you're
think
quote
food.
unquote relaxing, but you're not doing it uh, because you want to go back to where you were before, right?
Yeah, I also think, for example, football supporters going to a match and supporting their team and whatever. I think this is also often a form of escapism. I guess it also goes with alcoholism in some ways.
What's it?
Um, but and is that relaxation or is that not relaxation? I mean,
Yeah, it's all about how you justify to yourself to a certain degree, I guess.
yeah, yeah. But for sure they are very, very interlinked.
Yeah, there's something
Um,
there.
yeah. Um,
Okay, but we can move on to another one of the points that we had.
mhm,
So why do people consume media? The second one is informing or information. And
mhm.
I think what we should do is we should take the next two together.
Yeah,
So we
agreed.
have informing and learning, and we distinguished these two. And the idea was that informing simply informs you that there is something about the state of the world or about the state of your community, or there is just something there, right? Um, it doesn't necessarily have too much surrounding information. It doesn't necessarily uh, give you that much meaning or whatever, but it exists and it tells you something about the state of the world, let's say. While learning is much more of an active increase of the field of a piece of information, how to describe. Like you go deeper into a certain piece of knowledge. I think to take an example, right? Informing you could be telling you uh, that there is a war going on in between this and this country, right? While learning could be going, okay, why are these two countries at war? Okay, I'm going to research the country's culture or what's going on. I'm going to look into it. I'm going to take an active part with my mind to really develop more surrounding information and arguably also get to a deeper state of knowing, right? A more foundational level rather than just this is what it is right now.
Yeah,
Do you have anything else to add on that or?
I think with informing, like as an example, right? It's the news. It's what's going on in my environment right now, um, like. And with learning, as you said, it's really the underlying principles. It's going back and really taking a step. Like, how can I grow as a person? It's the individuation process.
Yeah.
Um, and I think in a big part, um, people focus on the informing aspect quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like people inform themselves, and there is so much to inform themselves about that they never really get to the learning aspect, right?
No.
Where in the learning aspect, you're actually challenging your ideas. It's the part where you analyze your ideas and you're like, is that right? I've always thought this, but why did I think that? About
Yeah.
analyzing this thought properly. And it also takes a lot of time. I think with a full-time job, you want to stay up to date in the world, right? And you want to have a normal social network. I think you
Yeah.
don't have time for learning. It's very,
No.
very hard.
Yeah. And I think to cap off, I mean, we're talking about why media is consumed, right? So informing would be, all the news, all the basic updates about the real world. It could also be basic updates about, some interest of yours, right? Some niche, some hobby, whatever. You're just informed that this is the case, and then learning would be a lot of these more in-depth reading. It would be tutorials, documentaries, educational
Podcasts,
material,
a lot of
podcasts
podcasts.
like this
Uh-huh.
one's.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And then the last aspect we had is socializing. And this one
Yeah.
is a bit more nuanced because I think it infiltrates all the other ones because we are inherently social animals. And I think
Yeah.
every way of learning about the world also becomes with the purpose of being able to talk about it with your friends. Um,
Yeah.
it's a,
There's a lot about this, why do you learn about something or why do you inform yourself about something in the first place? Um, if I like the question of if I was a hermit who would never see another person again, which things in my current life would I not care about, right?
mhm.
And it's an interesting question to ask yourself because it
What do
really
you
showcases.
which things
Yeah.
would you which things do you think
Well, I
you
think
would care less about or not really care about?
I think things like,
What would
clothes and grooming is one of those things where it's an obvious example, right?
yeah
You clearly do it for others, even if you're just home alone. Like it's a habit, you build it into you that this
yeah
is how you should behave. but you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't do it if there was no other people on the planet. And when it comes to the mind, it's a
Yeah.
lot of the trendy stuff, right? It's a lot of the news and trendy stuff. I'm interested in news because I want to understand the world, but for sure there are certain kinds of news that you're more interested in because you want to, I don't know, discuss it with people or keep up to date with what other people's conversations are about, right?
Yeah.
And personally, I've never been very interested in the gossip and all this celebrity stuff, but I know a lot of people are, and I'm sure a lot of people only care about that stuff because they want to discuss it with their friends who also care, or they watch TV shows that they're not really that interested
Yeah.
in, but their friends watch it and it's something to talk about.
Mm-hmm. And I think an interesting thing to highlight here is that the celebrities in the minds of the people, they almost become like friends, like acquaintances. Or I think they
Yeah,
become like friends, like acquaintances, because I don't think the mind is able to make a clear separation between what's on the screen and what's around you, right? So
no,
it becomes this kind of an extended friend group, acquaintance circle, where a certain group of people is a part of all the friend groups in society.
yeah,
And I think this has a really big effect on, or these people therefore have a lot of influence on what these other
yeah.
people think.
And what's interesting about that is that it's very easy with reality shows, right? Because it's real humans, normal people just behaving like normal people, right? So it's really easy to make the connection that they exist and it's real and whatever. But the same thing
Mm-hmm.
happens on a fantasy scale. So if you think about the characters in a TV show that don't exist, right? Or even like animated characters or gods in mythologies and stories that you read, right? They to a certain degree become real in you, in your mind.
It comes
Uh,
alive, right?
it
It
Yeah,
becomes an aspect of you. You think about
yeah,
it.
and it
Mm-hmm.
shapes you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like
Yeah.
a friend would shape you or a colleague
Yeah.
would shape you with their words. You reading the words that the
Yeah.
character of a story is saying would shape your mind as
Yeah.
well. How you see
Because
yourself, or
I think a really interesting thing is here you see that a lot of people become very interested in like what a certain actor, how his dating life is, like the things he's doing, and they
yeah,
search out everything about a certain actor or about what something is doing, and it's like this is completely irrelevant to your life, but still we have this extremely strong social desire to do this. It's in
yeah.
everyone, and this is very
I
much.
have a I have a great example of this. The Formula One, after the Netflix show about Formula One, like the
Mm-hmm.
members came out. So in, I don't know what year it was, maybe it was 2019 or something like that, 2020. There came a TV show on Netflix about the Formula One industry, the Formula One people. So they were interviewing kind of like day-to-day life kind of thing about the people. They were creating beefs, getting like the behind the scenes of the
Mm-hmm.
sport. And the sport went crazy after that. I don't know the economic jump, but it was a lot. And
Yeah.
still, the retention rate is very high for people who actually now watch Formula One because it's like they
Yeah.
know the
And the
people
question
behind,
is, what are the people interested in? Are the people interested in the sport, in the driving, or are they really
Yeah,
interested about the people and the gossip and
yeah,
the stories, right? And I think it's fundamentally about the humanity, the
I
stories
think so.
inside.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, just last thing, because you said this about what do people really care about. If you're watching a sport, you're usually cheering for a guy or a team, right?
Yeah.
You're not cheering for the best person to win.
Or for like a certain technique, and you're like, oh, anyone who does this technique, I will vote for them, or
Exactly.
I will support them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. And if we take a step back
Yeah.
and we see like this is why these are some of the reasons why people consume media, right?
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the people, you have the people who create media, and
Yeah.
they have their whole own incentives for creating this media. And in the end, they are very interlinked because the people who create media have to find some target within the people who consume it, right? They have
Yeah.
to find their target audience. You want to
Yeah.
start with a reason?
There's one thing first. One thing I wanted to say was a model that I had in my head of media as a concept, because it's such a big term. And what I imagine is that media is any communication that happens more than one step removed from your life. So essentially, when you talk to your personal friends, you talk to the people around you, that's not media, right? Even though you're consuming information, you're being influenced, the reason might be the same why you're talking to someone or whatever. And then anything outside of that, whether it's, government or private organization or other institution that wants direct communication with you, like a channel that skips a step, right? Skips the social aspect, that is media. And what you have then is a pretty basic communication model of receiver and sender, and between you have all the tools used for receiving and sending, right? And in my head, media is just that whole thing in the middle between sender and receiver. And so when we talk about the reason why media is consumed, and we're going to get to the reason why media is created, it's very interesting to think about why they're so different, right? The perception of the receiver and the perception of the sender in what becomes the media then. But anyways, that was just a
Yeah,
model.
It's a good analogy. It's a good way to look at it, get a fresh perspective on it.
Yeah, so I think, well, again, we noted down a few reasons, right, that we think are crucial as to why media is created. I think the first one, the honest one, the nice one, sharing and informing people, right? People do create media just to share, just to inform others of what exists or what thoughts are in their head or what they think about the world, right? There might not be so much bias in it. There might not be all these evil or really, manipulative intentions. They just want to get the information out there.
Do you think this exists, this person who shares purely to share, like with an inner drive of just, I want to let everyone know my thoughts? Or do you think there's always another aspect related to it?
No, I think there's always another aspect. I think that you cannot get around the subjective desires, because otherwise you should just, sit still and do nothing. Because by the intent of sharing something, even if you're trying to share the most neutral information in the world, you're putting your subjective opinion out there that, one, it is best, like it's better than other solutions to share neutral, objective information. So my information should be more appreciated than a lot of other information. And two, it's almost inevitable that you are aiming for some kind of recognition for that approach or those ideas. In one way
Why
or
else
another.
would you share it? Because it costs energy. It's not free to share it. It costs
energy. Well, it's
energy.
for the good of humanity, maybe. I'm sacrificing my own energy for the good of humanity, and I will not have any recognition for it.
Well, I think there are people who believe that, but the question is, right? What is the actual reason? And I think in this case, like like there are always forms of altruism that exist within individuals. But true altruism, pure, that of course,
I don't think it exists. And I think even the people, so there are some people, right, who are truly altruistic. I mean, everything they do, they seek zero recognition and they actually do good and they invest their energy, right? But I think in those cases, there is a deeper, often, a desire to be with God, right? Or to be praised by God, or to have the most godlike behavior, something like that. So there's always
or to be able to feel one. I think in some sense, right? The ability to, I want to feel peaceful, and therefore I do these altruistic things, which makes me feel at rest with myself.
Which makes them egotistical in a sense, right? So
anyways, I think what we're getting at, right, is that there is some form of wanting to share and wanting to inform, but
Yeah.
there is also always a personal aspect to it.
Yeah.
Something you want to gain, some inherent drive within the person that pushes them to
Yeah.
create the media.
But I think it's also just quickly worth mentioning that there are forms of sharing and informing that are a bit different. Like, for example, the dictionary, right? The dictionary is a form of media, and it is arguably objective, right? Because it's defining a rule set, a system that has been created, right? And well, you
I
can,
think even
okay,
with dictionaries, you can make.
I know, I know. I'm hearing myself say it, and I'm like, no, it's not gonna be bought, like.
Yeah.
But my point is that there are some forms that might be considered.
I wonder, like school books, they are like very much
And they're
written
definitely not.
with a purpose, and the people who
Yeah.
write them, they think they have an idea of what students should learn to become good citizens, to become whatever ideas they have, right? But it's in this case,
But what
it's
about a
they want
math
to
book?
about a math book.
Yeah. Because we've created a logical system that is like quote unquote truth because it's
I don't know. I think
defined that way.
with math, it will also be the person wanting to, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyways,
I think the viewers can make up their own minds on
exactly. Make
how
up your own
altruistic
mind.
this is.
Yeah. Make up your own mind. We still would call it one reason why media is created.
Yeah.
And I think
then,
on that note, we should touch on the second, like the side of what we just mentioned, which is personal gain, right? There's a lot of motivation to create media for your own personal gain. It can be the personal gain of you as an individual, right? Success, influence, power, money, whatever. It could be the success of your company, or something else that you own, or some idea that you care about, right? Like whatever political movement or ideological movement that you care about. And you could do all of these for personal gain. And we see it all the time, and it's maybe the most common for individuals, right? Is that you create media for your own personal gain in some way.
I think it's the most straightforward one.
Yeah.
But I think there's also nothing such as pure personal gain. I think
no,
it's also always a mixed bag.
Sorry, what do you mean?
It's always a mixed bag. I think it's always, I want to share, but I don't think I think there's always also an idea of, well, I'm doing, it's not purely for me. Like, even if it's just something they tell themselves.
Yeah. Which touches on the third point that we had, right? Which is that we talked on sharing, just purely sharing. And then there's personal gain creating media. And then an interesting thing is when you create media because you believe it's the right thing to do, or because you believe you are right about something, but you don't think you are pushing it for some nefarious reason, right? It's like the person who pushes an idea without being aware that this idea is questionable, or it's challengeable in some way. It's like that person might believe they're purely sharing to inform the world, right? I'm just providing objective facts. Equality is the best, like the most important thing in the world, right? And that is just the truth of it, and that's how it works. But that person is also, to a certain degree, pushing an idea, pushing an ideology, even though it's not necessarily for their personal gain that they create the media that they did.
Yeah, they don't gain anything by it.
No.
Well, they're pro in advance within the system, right? They get acknowledgement. They belong to the group. They get rewards, etc. But I think we can tie this in very nicely into the propaganda part.
Yeah.
Because there's a very fine line, I think, between the truthful sharing and informing and when something becomes propaganda, when it becomes manipulation. With manipulation, I see it as I'm deliberately misguiding people in order to guide them towards this direction. right? I want the people to go there. Therefore, um, I'm creating this ideology and I'm getting people into this ideology.
Yeah.
And the people spreading the ideology may not be aware of the fact that they're spreading this propaganda, of the fact
No.
that they're doing this. They might be themselves a part of the system, right? And I think
Yeah.
this is a very common pattern that we see.
It's like you live and breathe a brand, right? It's like you're a
Mm-hmm.
walking advertisement just because of who you are,
Yes.
because you're so ingrained in the ideology.
And you truly believe it, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's
Like you're not
it's
being a liar or
yeah,
false. I mean, maybe internally you're probably lying
yeah,
to yourself if you really sought deep enough, but
yeah.
um, yeah, for the awareness that you have, you're not being unreal in any way.
Yeah. And in some ways, I think this is the true danger of the modern media landscape, where it's
Yeah,
not the people willfully manipulating, because those are a small part, right?
yeah,
They are a very small part of the population who reaches a certain point where they create false ideologies, where they push certain ideologies. But it's the big mass of people that then spread this on their social media, on the news channels, right?
yeah,
And I think that's really how the modern system of media and propaganda and such works.
yeah. I agree, and I think this, if to take an example, right, of some of the big players, if the government who controls the education system and the curriculum of teaching, right, if they push something that is not objective, which they do, right, education systems are subjective, they are pro a certain ideology, and if they teach children from the early age that this is the only truth, there is nothing you can do about it, this is how the world works, that child becomes that walking
Mm-hmm.
advertisement, right? And I think we
Yeah.
see it with, for example, equality in the West, where you can't even, you know, bringing up equality maybe too many times for a
We
for
can talk
something
about
that,
green. We can talk about green energy, right?
yeah,
Like if something is labeled green, that automatically makes it good.
yeah,
And then we don't analyze anymore whether what
no,
does green even mean? Like what is green? Does that mean that there is
yeah,
no fossil fuels burned, but the creation of it's
it
um,
doesn't, well,
it
it's
doesn't
all,
mean
it's,
anything anymore.
no, it
But
doesn't
people
mean
live
anything.
it and
Yeah,
and spread it.
and children are raised in it, right?
Yeah,
And I'm sure if you go to like early school, early primary school curriculums now in a lot of, especially the West, right? It's indoctrination into a climate movement. I'm
yeah,
sure that's how bad it is if you look at the information, and
yeah.
I think you start seeing the same about no religion or no Christianity at least, or this gender stuff or equality or whatever else it is,
Yeah.
right?
Even if most of the people are kind of sick of it, which I think is what you're seeing now,
Yeah,
like
at least the grown-ups.
the legislation, it's still being pushed exactly in this
Yeah,
direction, right? Like what is actually happening in the world, all the NGOs, all the money is going to these organizations.
yeah, that have an ideology, right? Like they're not politically
Yeah,
neutral,
of
they're not
course.
ideologically neutral. They are deep in an ideology, and that is
There is
being pushed.
nothing, no such thing as ideological neutrality.
No, fair enough.
It's
Uh, fair enough. But I think now, like, we reached a point where there's a certain kind of grand or distributed social belief that we are neutral,
yeah,
which is so funny that you reach a point where you don't even see that this is an ideology with all its limitations and boundaries and certain innate beliefs that are like foundational for it, and you
I
don't
think
even
this
see that it's an ideology anymore.
I think this is one of the primary aspects of a cult. You know, how do you identify when
Yeah,
something is a cult? It's when you don't realize anymore that there might be something else that's true. When you think that you have found the ultimate source of truth,
yeah.
I think that's
Well,
like very clear.
I I also think this is one of the reasons why we look back at history and we look to what they believe and we think, well, they were stupid, or they didn't understand anything about this, and look how ingrained they were in a certain belief system. While nowadays we see that this is obviously just a temporary belief system with a lot of faults, right? But living in the present, it appears that for a lot of people it's very difficult to realize that, well, now you're in the exact same situation as every moment in history, where there's a very strong ideology encompassing everything in your life, everything in your mind.
So, yeah. So I think what is then is really interesting, right? If we say, why is media created, right there, and we say for a big part, it's people spreading an ideology where they're not really aware of the ideology that they're spreading or think it's the good cause. But then who creates these ideologies, right? Who are the people who actually instantiate the structure within society that allows these people to spread their opinion farther? It's like the infrastructure that is necessary to amplify certain opinions. That is who really controls the media, I think.
Because you can't blame the walking advertisement, right? You have to if you're going to blame, well, you can blame them as an individual, right, for not taking enough.
But if you just ask a simple question, who controls the media, right? Who actually controls what's there? Then it's the people who build the structures, right? And those are big money, big companies. They are the ones deciding which opinions get pushed, which opinions are allowed to prosper and which are not.
And I think it's mostly what you talk about. It's big companies, governments, huge NGOs or interest organizations. It's the people who work in the media industry, right? So media companies themselves, like news conglomerates or entertainment, like TV show, movie production companies, and it's
universities.
It's big money.
And it just comes down to money, I think, in the end.
Money is a big one.
It's simple because they appoint the CEOs, and the CEOs appoint those under them, and they appoint those under them, and then you spread your ideology in this way. It takes some time, but over time, if you have money, you can spread your ideology.
Yeah, you can. And the people below you in that money chain will not be able to really oppose you, right? Because they're economically dependent on you. So
and nowadays they get
definitely definitely a powerful position to be in.
So do we have a little bit of time left then to talk about some of the more interesting outcomes of what this entire media landscape does to like the health of society, the health of the individual? I think it would be good to highlight some specific things. I guess we're kind of running out of time, but
I think we'll be fine. We'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll see. So we separated this into three categories, and I think what is the easiest to talk about and the most obvious is the neurological implications that the media landscape has on the individual. And with this, we're really talking about things like how TikTok, Netflix, always an easy access to dopamine influences the mind. And you want to add on that?
I think the main thing that you see nowadays, right, is that in the information age and with the media, right, it's important to keep in mind this growth, right, this exponential growth of media and the influence it has, right? And with that has come media overload or information overload, right? Where you can't even fathom how much more information, like literal bits of energy, right, that go into your brain now compared to just decades ago, or especially centuries ago. It is incredible. The scale is astonishing, right? And we do not understand the impact that really has on humanity and humans as individuals, because your brain is not made for this. It's a false, like
It's
it's
like trying
artificial,
to
right?
cope as best as it can, right? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
uh,
it's doing its best, but
yeah,
it's hard, right? It's not easy, and it's
yeah,
not made for this because the real
and
world doesn't even compare to this.
yeah. Yeah, and there you also get into the disconnection to reality that I think we're seeing a lot. And we also talked about it a bit with the socialization, right? How the people on the TV, they become part of your friend group in your brain, right?
Yeah,
Your animal brain thinks it's someone you know, and you start to live in a separate reality. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
it's
You
very
do
much
live
in
in
the
a separate.
brain. It's yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's all in the mind, right? I mean, all these
yeah,
ideas that you have about the big world and how it works, they're just creations in your mind. I mean, you can start from the basics that society in itself is a creation of the mind, right? But these things are much deeper because they take a long time to form, and they are not so dynamic, right? They don't flip in one day, which a lot of these other modern mental structures in the media can do. And I think you see some issues with these impacts, right? You see that people, for example, with information overload, you don't really have time to integrate information anymore, right? Like you just you don't have time.
it
If
becomes
you're gonna
very
keep
hard.
up,
Like
yeah,
we talked about, right? If you want to be informed and also like learn something such that you can actually make educated an educated judgment about what is happening in the world, you cannot
yeah,
just keep up to date with the news. No, now Iran. Ah, I've never heard anything about Iran, about the culture, right? Shit, that's gonna take me, I don't know. I'm gonna need to read 3 books, 2,000
yeah,
pages to get a bit
yeah.
of a grasp of kind of what's going on.
By the time you've finished reading about Iran,
Yeah,
the
the
war is
next
over.
crisis is happening.
Yeah,
Yes.
next
By the
crisis.
time you know what's going on.
Exactly.
And
And
that's
but
the
this
real.
is reality, right? We're in order to keep up with society because of the scale of information that base upkeep requires,
Yeah.
we become these shells, right? With no depth. Like you are only a
Yeah.
place. I like going back to what we had previously with informing versus learning, right? You become a place, like your mind becomes a place where there's only information, but there's no depth to it. It's just a
Uh-huh.
bunch of one layer thick pieces
Yeah.
of information about the whole world, and you think you need that to keep up, right? Maybe in a social sense to keep up and to feel like you are informed, but you lack any kind of learning, any kind of depth.
And I think what you often see is you get very much an obsession with one specific very small aspect of reality. Uh,
Yeah,
that's something they know something about, right? I learned all about this specific example and I can tell about that. Um, and then that becomes the problem. All of politics starts focusing on this one specific non-issue, and
yeah,
the conversation is broadened because people don't know how to talk about them. And to be honest, I think even the politicians, they have no clue about most of the topics because
no,
they are talking about just a few specific topics every time. They,
yeah,
their conversation cannot be broadened. They cannot talk about broader topics. When was the
yeah.
last time you heard a politician talk about the problem of the media landscape in a way that we're doing now, in a similar amount of depth?
Yeah, never.
No.
I
But
think
these are the important questions that we need to handle as society, but they're not being talked about where it
no,
matters.
and we are like there's certainly something about there is a limit to how complex society can be, where one individual is capable enough of grasping what is needed, right, to maybe lead
Yeah.
or to be all encompassing. And if you expect the average person in the street to be aware of all these big topics in the world in a super complex society, then you're making it really difficult for yourself because everyone is reaching max capacity with no room
Yeah.
to actually go deeper and grow in depth. Um, and so what we really should probably do is we should say, you only have to care about your whatever X surroundings, based on what you need uh, for your life or something like that. Right? It's
Yeah.
hard to do, but just in theory.
Mm-hmm.
what else does this disconnection from reality do? What do you think it does to an individual? What do you think it does to society?
I think for the individual, it also like it shows a lot of disconnect, I think, between people
Yeah.
because people are not living in their animal nature,
Mm.
in their biological state, but they're living in imagined worlds for a big part. And this makes the connection between people more difficult, I think. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think
I
you
think
see
that makes
this
sense.
on a bigger scale within society, like it's on the individual, and on the bigger you see that you might have read. We think we talked about this before, but your belief set might be completely different from the belief set of your neighbor, and
Yeah.
therefore you cannot be on the same party anymore because you disagree so completely on something that is so far away from
Yeah.
your own neighborhood, right? But uh,
Yeah. It's really, it tears apart local community. Um,
yeah,
because I
yeah,
mean, yeah, you have completely different lives, right? Because you're spending, 70% of your life in your mind, according to what you consume online. And then by doing that, you're becoming someone who is disconnected from your local culture. And the same is
yeah.
happening for someone else down the street who's consuming a different online culture, whatever you want to call it.
And I think fundamentally this is like really what is happening to big parts of society around the world, to the west, or to the west, is we are losing all the individual culture of
Yeah.
local communities, what made them unique, what made them different from another community, and it's being replaced by one global ideology.
Yeah.
Uh,
And what's the objective of globalism then?
Power,
Power.
unification.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
easier to
Unity.
rule over. It's easier to rule over a people if they're unified.
That's true. That's the easiest one, right? If you're a
I
big
think this is
power
the
player,
fundamental principle.
yeah. If you're a
And
big
it's not
power player, you
it's
want
not
the
a
complete world.
one big grand conspiracy. It's just the natural state that
Yeah.
anyone in power would push to. Because if you
Yeah.
want to expand your power, it's not good if your whole kingdom has different beliefs and
No.
you know that doesn't. You need some kind of a unified nation, unified people. And I think what we're seeing now is it's happening on a global scale. That's all
Yeah.
that's different, but the principles are the same.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's definitely true. So, with that, then you really got to keep in mind you don't have to be a conspiracy head to see that it's natural. Uh, it's natural for power dynamics, right? That you seek to expand your borders and to unify the people under your borders, and now you can do it online. Like we said earlier, you can do it from the other side of the world, right, to another population. So realistically, the war is happening in the media, in the minds, in the attentions of the people, right? And what you really maybe should be aware of then is that this is happening, right? And they're not, if you're from a local culture, if you're from a country, if you're from a community, um, the big media companies, like, they're fighting against you because they want you to believe something else. They want you to shift to their
Yeah.
beliefs, to join
And
under their umbrella.
I think the illusion that these companies would like we talked about, right? The reason that they create media would be just
They
as
did.
some Puritan way of sharing
Yeah, yeah,
information.
yeah,
Like I in the past no one ever believed that. And why should we believe it now? Because everyone knows that power will always find a way to corrupt itself and you need to be extremely careful in order to not let it corrupt itself. Because it will always go in the direction of corruption.
yeah.
And it's not a conspiracy theory to think that power wants more power. Like
No.
that's a basic fact of the world.
Yeah, it's not a conspiracy theory
Big
at
eats
all.
small,
Yeah,
you
big
know?
eats
And
small. Why would I let small survive if I can take it? Well,
yeah, You only need
Yeah.
small if you need it for long-term planning, right? If you don't want to
Yeah.
eat all the small in one go.
Yeah. Whoa. Give small some space.
Yes. Anyways, I think
Yeah.
yeah, and I think the entertainment aspect of a lot of media is very much just keeping the population docile, keep making
Yeah.
sure the population is fine, they don't uh yeah.
Yeah. There's something about um, if you want to gain power over someone or control over someone, you can push hard to convince them of your opinion, right?
Yeah.
Or you can fight hard against their opinion, right? Instead of
Mm-hmm.
pushing for yours, you can fight theirs. But what you can also do is you can reduce the kind of willingness to fight of the person, right? Instead of just pushing your ideology, you can
Just
just
distract
make
them.
them, distract them, make them
Make
not
them
care at
weaker.
all. Yeah, make them not have their own
Give them the
strong
wrong
thoughts,
give them
have their
wrong
own,
nutrition, bad sleep, like all these
yeah,
biological things. Like, get them
yeah,
on their phone until 3 in the night so that they're fucking tired and
yeah,
on useless things. Get them gaming. Get them, I don't know, caring about anything that doesn't put the attention on the power structure.
yeah. Because then, you've essentially beat them and they will never have the
Mm.
power to challenge you. And they will it's also important to remember that the power game is a big game, right? I mean, people work in generations and in decades to build things, to plan things, right? Scale up
Yeah.
infrastructure. And so it's not like one individual can just wake out of there having been lazy and all of a sudden they can change everything. No. It's like you need to organize, you need to plan, you need to structure, you need to have
Mm-hmm.
people who's on top of the game if you
Yeah.
ever want to challenge the
Um,
authority.
And I think here it's hard to imagine, as someone who doesn't plan all these kinds of things, that there could be people who plan these kinds of things.
Yeah, yeah,
I think but it's just a lack of imagination because, like, if you walk around in a world with smart, successful people, they are planning. They have so much going on. They have connections. That it's
yeah.
and as a normal person, it's sometimes hard to imagine, I think.
Maybe it's also intentional that you don't want to share through the media that this is actually what's happening in the back room, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe the TV shows are not showing an honest picture of how things are actually working.
You think so?
I think, well, to put it in a hypothetical, if I had great power and I wanted more power, then I would not tell everyone the secrets of how I gain my power.
Of course.
Like my planning and my architecting and scheming. I would not give up any of that information.
Of course.
I would never, right? It's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah.
So,
no, of course. I mean, I think that's like a power 101.
yeah, it is.
And
also you have competitors, right? So, and you don't want your
Yeah.
competitors to know your tactics because then they can beat you to them, right? So it's basic.
Or you
power game.
you flood the landscape with a lot of false information, right? Such that people
That as
cannot
well.
figure out anymore what is true. And
No.
I think this is, well, we're seeing this in our modern media landscape. Like, there's so much fake news, disinformation, misinformation.
Yeah.
I think anyone on the political spectrum would agree about that. It doesn't matter if you're left or right. They will all say the internet is flooded with fake information.
Yeah.
Now with AI, it's getting even worse. But
yeah,
it's this information overflow. You don't know anymore what is true.
Yeah.
And it takes so much effort.
It's interesting, this new paradigm of a lot of false information and a lot of I don't like the words misinformation and disinformation because they're being used in such, I think, manipulative ways. But
they're good
like
words.
The word itself, right? Misinformation, right? Disinformation. I'm distributing bad information to trick you onto a false path or something like that, right?
To get them believing into a certain ideology, and then to get them to spread to become soldiers of your ideology.
Yeah. It's ideology games, with the modern tool set, right? Because nowadays it's possible because there is infinite media and it costs zero to produce it.
Yeah.
And I think with ideology, there are other interesting aspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
With regards to modern day. We talked a good
Yeah.
amount about ideology already. Um, it's one of those things that I feel like when I grew up, I wasn't really taught much about ideology, like
Mm-hmm.
what it means and that it's present. I was taught about beliefs, like people can have ideas. And obviously, you're taught a bit about historical, uh, I don't know, political systems, right? Or belief systems. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I was really taught that these are grand, big ideologies that are present in the human mind and kind of all
Mm-hmm.
encompassing in some way. It's like you're floating around in ideology water. Like all your thoughts are floating around in ideology water. And so,
It's like the thing that grounds a person, it's like the
yeah,
thing that that is at the bottom of a person's beliefs, outlook at the world
yeah,
or
it's the floor
society
you're
at large.
building from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all
Yeah.
these building blocks of beliefs and things, and they're built on a floor, and that floor is your ideology.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't really think too much about uh, what that ideology is, let's say.
Our own ideology. I think it's very easy to
Yeah,
judge other people's ideologies,
yeah,
but not looking carefully at your own, um,
no, no.
where that is coming from. Yeah.
But okay, I also think we noted down a point on worldview equals person,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
What do you think here about this aspect of today's society?
I think it's, I think it must be something of all times that the
Yeah,
worldview and the person are one, and you don't necessarily challenge your own worldview unless something really triggers you to challenge the worldview, right? I think
yeah,
this is fundamentally how people work. This is biology. And in the past, this would be your family, your village, your clan, and you shared for big parts their worldview, and you wouldn't break with that worldview easily.
no,
Like there would have to be a calamity, like a war or something, and then it would be like, shit, this way of life doesn't work anymore. I need to adjust my worldview. I need to take this evolutionary risk to destroy my old worldview and take on a new worldview. And I think this is where the worldview building and the ideological foundation is useful from an evolutionary perspective. And
yeah,
now in society, I mean, the biology is still the same.
yeah. And I think what's interesting then to note, right, is that maybe what we've talked about it a couple points, but we live in this very artificial, like fantasy world, right? Like most of the things are not that connected to reality anymore. I mean, you don't need to believe your thing to survive, right? It's not like
Yeah.
if you believe the wrong thing, you're not going to get enough harvest for the season, right? This is
Where's the
not happening anymore.
ideological reality check?
Yeah, the ideological reality check. It's and it's this idea that you see with people in urban areas, especially, right?
Uh-huh.
They live in these artificial palaces where they don't need to do anything connected to survival at all. And as a result, you can develop identities and worldviews and beliefs that are very much only existing in the fantasy, right? Only existing in the mental space.
Their ideology doesn't even have to be functional enough to hold a job because they'll get
No,
subsidy, right?
yeah,
Their ideology can be theoretically so broken, but they'll still live, be able to have kids.
yeah.
Don't know for how long that can go on, but
But
um,
you'll be able to pass all the checks that your
yeah,
biology tells you
yeah.
need, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it'll say like, well, you were able to get a job believing this crazy, completely false fantasy. Great job,
Yeah,
is what your body tells you. Ah, you're able to
yeah,
have a child with this crazy fantasy of
yeah,
a belief. Great job.
yeah.
Good job.
Right. So what needs to happen for an ideological shift is there needs to be uh, like mm, an evolutionary shock, a shock to the body that's big
Yeah.
enough that they are willing to take the risk to change their ideology. And I think this is fundamental. This is for any human being, no matter. This is ideology doesn't change for free.
No, this is always why, you know, all these disasters cause great shifts, right? Or like really tough periods for a person really changes them, because that's what it actually takes to challenge those deep fundamentals that have built your current path, right? Your current worldview.
Yeah. It's as an individual, as a society. Ideological shifts require chaos.
And I think there is a general argument to be made here that if you want a strong worldview now, and if our society wants a strong worldview moving forward, it has to never lose its connection to reality, right? To the physical world, to nature, to the basics around you.
How would you define a strong worldview? Like the word strong in here, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, I think it means a couple things. One is a strong worldview is a worldview where the individuals in it feel connected to humanity, and they feel progress, and they feel belonging, and they feel hopeful. So there's this very individual sense of like, what is the best thing you could believe as an individual? It's something that makes you hopeful for the future, for your children's future. It's something that makes you wake up in the morning and want to push, right? Want to build, want to create, because you're on this great path, right? And it makes you feel comfortable and belonging, and like life is a joy kind of thing, right? This is what it makes you feel as an individual.
Life is worth it. Yeah. I think these are all very important aspects. Yeah. I mean,
and
I think...
there's also the argument that this is the individual sense. And then another thing is that I think it still matters is that you are building a strong society in the material world as well. So, okay, nowadays we're in a very global situation, so it's difficult, but you know, like someone who can beat out the competition or be stable for hundreds of years, right? Or remain unified. Like there are these societal aspects that are a bit more complex. But yeah, I think that's like really a strong world.
I agree with it. And I think strong means evolutionarily successful in the long term.
Of course.
Think that's fundamentally what it comes down to, right? Anything else doesn't work. And from there, I think that's the basis. And from there on out, you can build different ideologies. But this always needs to be at the core. And if you lose that,
Yes. What are you saying about Europe right now and falling birth rates?
But it's the perfect example. It's like, if your ideology does not promote the birthing of enough kids, it's a false ideology. It's a weak ideology. It's very simple, and
it's suicidal.
I mean, how can anyone not agree with that? So, it doesn't make sense to me. It's the most basic thing. And I think if you don't agree with this fundamental thing, you know, you're a part of this cult. Like, you're a part of a cult in humanity that I think in the past, you know, it's something that's only existed in the here and now. Where it's a form of life that doesn't want to continue living, that says life is not worth it.
Yeah, I think there are periods in history where the cultures went through similar issues, and I think there are certain fundamentals you can pick out of those ideologies, even though they were in different contexts. But I think most of it comes back to what you said, right? It's like against human life to a certain degree. So there's something anti-human about it, because the most human thing you can do is to reproduce, arguably, right?
Yeah. But I would like to turn this into something positive, because I feel like now we are very much hating on this ideology. But for me, what it also means is, then how can we create the world in which people want to have births, right? I think that is really the question you need to ask.
Of course, that's the thing we gotta do, and
that's the ideology we need to help shape. right? Which
Exactly.
ideology fits in there, and how can we? Does the current media landscape help in that, or is it
Yeah.
hurtful? Um,
Well, I think to the first point, just it's hard. I just want to preface by saying there might be some deep seated identity elements that you have to be willing to kill off in
mhm.
order to get to positive birth rate in European ideology. And
Yeah, I agree. I
that is
agree
not
completely.
easy on an individual
That's
scale, and it will not be easy on a societal scale. So there has to be, I would guess, like either a gradual opening up to challenging the more deeper elements, right? Or a gradual teaching to the younger generation, or a drastic teaching to the younger generation would also help a lot, right? But those changes are not easy to put in place.
Yeah, no, it requires the individuals to really look inward.
Yeah,
And yeah,
but I think
again,
it has
I
to
think the
start
only
with
thing
society.
that helps that will help this shift will be actual a biological impulse in the bodies of the
Yeah,
individuals, right? A stress reaction,
yeah,
something that allows the person to change their ideology, to change their worldview, and to realize,
yeah.
wow, if we continue on the current path, like there is no future.
No,
No.
but
Mm,
let's make sure, let's try to work to make it happen, okay? I want Europe to keep going, and I want my culture to keep going. So, you know,
of course.
it's easy to be negative about the current state, but it's important to remain positive about what has to happen and how we can do that, right? That's the goal, the actual value, right?
There's
To make it a
also a
good
lot of
change.
strength still left in European culture
Of
and
course,
ideology.
of
Uh,
course.
I think in some ways it's just been corrupted.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
I think we
I think.
can, yeah, talk about, like, as a last kind of thing,
Mhm.
moving a bit away from ideology and back to purely media, right? We
Mhm.
have this great media landscape, and we've discussed a lot of aspects about it. And I think, what we want to really share towards the end here is how to think about media moving forward. Like, how can we relate to media? What are the things we should be aware of in consuming media? And maybe try to define some kind of better way for the balance of power between media and the individual, right? I think that's kind of what we're doing. Um,
Yeah.
and I think you can start it off, Jasper, with what you think is important.
Yeah, I think with regards to the awareness, I think it's just good to be aware of things like where does the media come from, who is writing it, why are they writing it, what are my beliefs, how do I feel about my beliefs, am I able to question my own beliefs? It's a lot of these questions, you know. It's about truly analyzing your own, becoming aware of your relation towards the media you consume, your reasons for consuming it. Is it just an entertainment thing? Am I consuming this to stay up to date? Am I consuming this such that I can tell my friends about it? Or am I
Yeah,
consuming because I truly want to learn and to grow as a person?
yeah.
Um, I think
It's
for
about
me,
asking.
yeah, I think for me, the thing is you need to get on the path towards really learning and away from some of the other aspects.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip to take with you. Try to minimize the mindless informing or entertainment
Mm-hmm.
and socialization, and try to improve the amount of depth and information you're gaining there.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's important to just ask yourself why. One of the most powerful questions in all, like, self-reflection is why. I think, because if you look at something and you actually ask why, and you start thinking about it, and then you start understanding why
Ask
whatever is currently
the
present is,
why, the how, the who, the where, the when, right?
yeah,
Like all the investigate.
yeah, investigate, and also, why why am I consuming this media? Why do I care about the thing I'm looking at right now? Why do I believe the thing I believe,
Mm-hmm.
all these good questions to ask yourself, and over time
Taking,
that will really improve your awareness.
yeah, it's taking control over the media you consume, right?
Yeah,
It's saying, okay, what are the things I'm consuming? How does that fit into the global narratives? Are there things I might be missing out on? Are there things that I really shouldn't be doing? Cut them out, and
yeah,
focus on other things.
yeah. And
Get a
also be
healthy
willing
relation.
to cut them out, because
Mm-hmm.
I know that there is a lot of attachment, right, to the media space. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not blind to it myself. There have been, a YouTuber that I follow, right, and I watch their thing, and then I ask myself, do I really care about keeping up to
Mm-hmm.
date with this guy who's like some random person online? I don't know the person, uh,
Yeah.
and maybe now I don't find him as interesting anymore. And it's
Yeah.
funny that as soon as you cut that person off, give it 1 week and you never think about it again.
Yeah.
Like, it's just out of your life. And if it never comes back to you, then, well, I don't think you truly cared about it. So,
Yeah. And I think for the people truly wanting to become intellectuals, which I don't think everyone needs to, but it's really about learning, really about critically analyzing everything, getting a really
yeah,
broad view on the world,
yeah.
and
Seek the depth
really
and
going
build this
inward.
giant base in your head,
Yeah.
Build a gigantic set of knowledge that you understand and can work between.
Yeah. And there are also more practical things, which is like, the algorithms on YouTube,
Yeah,
like, um, don't get sucked into it. There are some browser extensions that help block some of the most toxic things. There are some alternative apps that are less addictive, that are more focused. Use your subscriptions. Don't let the algorithm push
yeah.
you everything. Yeah.
Also, like, there's always an intent of the media companies, whether it's a news website or something, right? They have a goal. It's not just there to
Yeah.
inform you. So try to at least be aware of what the intent is. Try to
Yeah.
use different sources.
Yeah. And try to become aware of the ideology that you are in, and
Yeah,
find your place in your own ideology, and see how other people are in other ideologies, and maybe try to find the try to see try to look objectively at the different ideologies,
yeah,
because in the end everyone will be in an ideology, and
yeah.
yeah, it's a choice.
Make a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that we want to touch on, or should we leave it at that?
No, I think that's okay. I mean, if you could give like one uh, key thing to be aware of with regards to the media, or to be afraid of, or how to handle media in the future.
Fair. I think for me, it's really just the pervasiveness and the
Yeah,
pervasiveness of the system, because it's everywhere. It's every part of your life, and it's a globalist system. It's not a local system. It's not real. It's fake, right? It's your real environment is the real environment, and I think we should
yeah,
focus on that.
yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. I also, when you said, I also want to add on top, you don't understand the players of this game. Yeah. It's like, if you're a local person living your life, the global power game, there are crazy
Yeah,
people there. There are schemers, there are planners, there are psychopaths, sociopaths.
yeah,
Like, trying to imagine that might be difficult when you just have your normal relationships around you. Um, and it's very, very powerful. It shapes the world, shapes
agreed.
us, shapes cultures, shapes everything.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let
Yeah.
it take complete power over you.
Yeah, and I think also definitely check out akarim.com.
What is akarim.com, Jasper?
Akarim.com. You never heard of that before?
I have, but just share with me again. I'd love to hear it.
Okay. I can definitely share with you some of the great things about Akarim. because it is a platform that is truly created from the pure sharing and informing perspective, right? It's written from an ideology that wants to empower the people.
Yeah.
It's built with an ideology that the people should have free conversations, and that this builds a strong ideology. And every design aspect of the platform is built for that.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's a platform where you can post interesting articles, or write yourself, discuss about it.
Yeah. And we really seek to go for the learning over just the entertaining or informing, as mentioned earlier, right? We think,
Yeah.
we have an ideology, of course, we do, and our intents are not objective, nothing can be, right? But we do believe that this is a better path, that we follow along an ideology that is a better path, a better shift, a better direction from what is currently dominating the
a strong future.
Yeah, exactly. A strong future for humans,